Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco.
Alyssa, did we get Wednesdayed again this week?
We're getting Wednesdayed again. Wah, wah.
We're getting Wednesdayed, but like on a Thursday, I think. Or a Friday.
Something.
I just, fucking hate the Supreme Court. I'm just going to say, no matter what happens over the next, 3 days, and the 13 cases that they've yet to announce the decisions on, I fucking hate them. I'm over it.
It's pretty funny because you have to assume that this decision is done and dusted, right? And so what I wonder is, my mom always told me, damn into the torpedo. When you've got to face bad news, just take it head on. It feels like they might be being pussies with this one.
Yeah, they might be being pussies. Well, we'll see. As we alluded to in our cold open, we record this show on Wednesdays. So if something happens between Wednesday recording and Thursday release, we're sort of SOL. January 6th was a Wednesday. Good example of something.
Sure was.
We went in ready to talk about Hilaria Baldwin with S.E. Cupp. We came out like we cannot air this conversation about Hilaria Baldwin with S.E. Cupp. This week, we've got to hold it. Some stuff happened. This week, the Supreme Court announced just before we recorded that there will be 2 more decision days this week, Thursday and Friday. Usually they only release decisions Monday and Wednesday. This is such useless information, and I can't believe how silly their rules are. But, once or twice a year, we have to learn about their weird-ass calendar. It's like trying to learn the rules of cricket. I don't get it. So something tells me that there's some elderly justices who really want to get these 13 cases out of the way real fast because they want to do carefree rich guy shit.
Or they've watched too many episodes of The West Wing and think that they can dump the bad ones on a Friday and we won't notice.
That's true. But then they would have dumped it next week, which is right before a holiday weekend.
But you know what? Then maybe they didn't want to risk their holiday weekend being ruined by vitriol.
Right. Maybe they got to let it cool down before they can peacefully get back to their
exactly.
boat. They want to have a week before they can waltz into a steakhouse acting like a big shot. I feel like that's an activity of really the most annoying type of Beltway people.
Yeah.
The steakhouse big shots.
It's let's go to the Cap Grill and have a Stoli Doli.
Oh, my God. I saw Kevin McCarthy at the Cap Grill in D.C. one time just thinking he was the greatest. And it's just God.
That's the difference between me and Kevin McCarthy, because I would go to the Cap Grill just for the Stoli Doli because it's all I could afford.
I would go to the Cap Grill and be like, all I want is a giant piece of meat, and this is nothing to be proud of. I'm this is a shameful exercise for me. Talking about the Supreme Court, there's a few important cases that are going to come down before the end of the term. Dobbs is the one that we've all had our eye on because that's the one that everyone thinks will flush Roe down the toilet. And Alyssa, you and I don't know the outcome of that case.
No.
No. Only the justices do, right?
Yes.
The justices and probably Ginny Thomas and whatever insane people.
She's probably got it on text somewhere.
Yeah, frickin' Dobbs. Whatever insane people. She says frickin', not me.
She
whatever
totally
insane people
says frickin'.
I just think it's funny to imagine that one of the most consequential decisions in American history, because half of the population requires more than half the population requires reproductive health care. So it's one of the most consequential decisions in history, and it's kind of funny, bleakly funny, to imagine Ginny Thomas, having a couple glasses of Chablis and taking a something that you shouldn't take with Chablis and then scrolling through her contacts and be like, who am I going to text about this?
Old school Quaaludes. That's where I feel that is.
I feel like she's got a vault where she has the last 10 Quaaludes in the world and she saves them for import. This is all just, I have no idea what.
No, this is just making us feel a little better.
This is fanfic about Ginny Thomas having a pill problem. I hope she doesn't, because that would be bad. Maybe 30 people, let's say. Maybe 30, some clerks, some justices know what is about to happen, but people are going to listen to this knowing what happened. So in that spirit, we're going to record 3 different news portions about this.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Like in the movie Clue, how they do all 3 of the endings. You know?
Yes.
Or in 30 Rock when they pre-tape a disaster relief segment
to be
with
ahead
Jenna,
of the game.
To be ahead of the game and win the ratings war, to help the people the thing that happened to. So in that spirit, we're gonna tape 3 outcomes. So here's outcome number 1. Something close to the Alito draft that was leaked a month ago is the final ruling. And not only is Roe overturned, American women have been tied to a rocket ship with the Federalist Society logo on it and blasted back to 1873. So, Alyssa, that just happened. What the fuck?
What the fuck, Erin? Seems like what we thought was going to happen has indeed happened. And abortion is no longer safe and legal, but will still happen.
Yes, it will happen unsafely. It will happen illegally. And, this is far from the start. There are states across the country that are trying to pass crazier and crazier laws. The reason I said 1873 is because that was the year of the Comstock laws, which made it illegal to distribute information about contraception or abortion over mail. Because there was a guy named Comstock who was America's foremost prude. Read up on him. He is one of the craziest bitches in American history. So we're heading back there. You and I are in blue states. Yeah. I fear for the future country that my daughter will be growing up in. Mm-hmm. And I fear for the future that everybody, especially people who are more marginalized, are already living under. So
yes. I mean, if this is the ruling, about half the states in America, abortion is now illegal.
Yeah. And here's something that really makes me furious. There's always a sort of flippant dumbass who is like, well, you can just move, or like offering a very complicated solution as though it's a simple and easy solution. Another one is just adopt. Well, there's always adoption. Okay, fucko. You carry a baby for 9 months and then go through all of that and then just relinquish the baby.
Like it's easy.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to go through 9 months of that and then just be like, you know what? This was fine. Now I can just adopt. My body isn't changed forever. This isn't a long recovery no matter how I give birth. This isn't a major ordeal. This isn't going to fuck with my mental health. This isn't going to fuck with my physical health. This isn't going to fuck with my sexual health, with my relationships, with my ability to work. I can just adopt. Fuck you. Also, just move. That's another one that
just move.
That's another one that can completely fuck off. People grew up places. People have roots. Just because
people have jobs.
People have jobs. Some people lack economic mobility. It's expensive to move, especially if you already have kids, especially if they're in school. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? Especially if you have a mortge now and interest rates are growing up.
Yeah, that's
just saying. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There are a lot of complications.
I just really want there to be a holiday where all the I want there to be identified dumbasses. You get something in the mail that's like a jury summons. It's like, hey, you're a fucking dumbass. No talking. The last week in June, it's a dumbass free week. You get a free vacation to this mountain cabin where there's no Wi-Fi and no talking. Free vacation, but nobody else has to listen to you for that week. We need a dumbass vacation. Okay, that was pretty good. That was a good option. If the Alito draft is close to what's released, I think that works. Okay, option 2. SCOTUS strikes down Roe, but only by upholding the Mississippi law, which bans abortions after 15 weeks, which means that abortion access is seriously weakened, that Roe is essentially overturned, that Casey is essentially overturned, and also conservative justices that swung away from Alito look like heroes, right?
Right.
Like whatever conservative justices behind the scenes are doing the maneuvering, they're going to come out and be like, wow, heroes to America's moderates. Alyssa, let's just say, I'm going to say who those people, it would probably be Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh. Are they heroes? Are Amy Coney Barrett? Okay.
No, they just scared of protesters at this point.
They're scared of protesters, and I think they just want to have their abortion and eat it too.
That was grosser than what you said last night.
What did I say last? Oh, don't throw the abortion out with the bathwater.
With the bathwater.
Yeah. that. Let's put a pin in that one. I'll bring that one up too in our personal political conversation today, because I got it. I got it in my back pocket. Yeah, I think that this was something that Roberts wanted in the first place. You know, if you listen to legal analysts like on our other Crooked Media podcast, Strict Scrutiny, which has been completely amazing as a source of information on this, you know, Justice Roberts is somebody who fancies himself a reasonable, moderate by the law kind of person, even though he's very conservative. And I think that, you know, most people who are Supreme Court watchers and reporters think that Roberts wanted it to come out this way so that they would be able to be credited for weakening Roe, but also not be these insane, like completely out of line with the American public's opinions, out of touch body that is losing relevance by the day, even though it is.
Also, I think that he has enough ego and hubris that he doesn't want the utter sort of, he doesn't want the Supreme Court to devolve into utter chaos on his watch.
It already has.
I know, but you know, it could get worse.
Right. I mean, remember when he saved Obamacare? That was crazy.
I know.
That was crazy. Which brings me to option number 3. Outcome number 3
is
something insane happens that nobody predicted, and Roberts has somehow figured out a way to save both Face and Roe v. Wade. So they issue one of those mealy-mouthed opinions that kind of just like kicks it back down to the lower court, which would strike the law, I believe, and also kick the can down the road so that maybe the Supreme Court can do the same thing the next time a case like this comes up, because there are plenty of cases that are coming up, but this one is so like, it's so stinky from like the leaks and the Alito of it all. It's just it's like stink.
It's moldy. It's moldy.
It's really stinky. I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just, you know, a court making a decision. There are real people who are impacted by this right now. And there are clinics across the country in states with trigger laws on the books that are halting appointments for abortions because the minute that the ruling comes down, legal abortions will end in the state. My home state of Wisconsin, Planned Parenthood is not scheduling abortions after June 25th. Oklahoma and South Dakota basically can't get legal people there who need reproductive care cannot get an abortion in Oklahoma and South Dakota. Missouri is not accepting new appointments at their only abortion clinic. It's not great. Fargo, North Dakota. The Red River Women's Clinic in Fargo, North Dakota is still open, fully open. But, you know, if the Supreme Court case comes down the way we think it's going to, trigger ban. So that's pretty bad.
So I feel like none of the practitioners actually think that scenario 3 in our news is going to happen.
What would you do if it did? Like, I mean, do we celebrate, or do we just sort of celebrate by not crying?
I think we celebrate by not crying because it's not over. You know, this Supreme Court's going to be the Supreme Court for a really fucking long time. And, you know, I mean, it's like they'll see. I mean, if it is scenario 3, they'll see how people respond.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would respond to it like a clean bill of health from the doctor. You know, it's like, okay, I don't celebrate going to the doctor and the doctor's like, you're fine. It's like,
you're like, cool.
Good. No further testing necessary. If it is scenario 1 or scenario 2, by the end of the summer, I think that there will be a lot of people will realize that it's a lot worse than they thought it was going to be. So nobody saw this coming, Alyssa. Did you?
Oh my God, Erin!
Happen? I know. What a surprise!
Zoink, Scoob!
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just like in 2012, was it, when Roberts saved Obamacare? 2012 or 2013.
Sometime in the middle.
During the salad days, Alyssa.
Oh, God.
It was such a great time. Summer music was like 90% bops. It was
miss
like
my bops. I miss my bops.
I mean, Beyonce is attempting to bring them back valiantly. So,
I mean,
2012, 2013 was maybe the peak of my adult life. It was very fun. You know, in terms of like the socio-political situation.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody was feeling pretty good. Obamacare was saved by a vain Chief Justice. I'm shocked. I'm shocked this happened. I'm shocked the Supreme Court didn't go ham. But I expect that they will go ham in the future, and I hope people listen to us when we warn about it from now on.
Yes. But
because look at the states are showing their hands. Look what
they
they're doing.
are. They're ready to fucking go. I mean, they're all ready. All of their activist groups are ready. They're ready.
It's been over the last maybe like 5 years that I realized that maybe my strategy for dealing with this sort of wingnuttery throughout my adult life has been like, I'll just wait for them all to die. Like I'm all these people are old. I'll just stick around. Eventually they'll be dead and I'll still be alive. And here's the thing. I think that while their numbers are dwindling, the people who are kind of at the tip of the spear for conservative pet causes are so annoying and so awful that they've driven most reasonable people out of public service at this point. And I'm not going to outlive them because there's always going to be one real young idiot.
I mean, the youngers are crazy now than the elders.
Dude, did I tell you I got a DM from Tommy Lauren?
No.
Yeah. Oh, talking about it live on the air because she DM'd me. She and I follow each other. She DM'd me and asked me if I would go on her show. And I was like, I said something diplomatic, or I said, can I see reels of you talking to somebody with my opinions on your show? I'm not interested in having a conversation that is just talking point sword fights. I'm not going to go on her show because I'm not interested in being on the radar of the type of person who watches her show.
100%.
And that kind of brings me around to what I'm saying is like I'm not going to outlive these people. Like there is enough people that are just off their rockers.
Yeah.
That it's like public service feels dangerous and at the very best annoying. For a lot
there
of people.
Is, as someone who was a public servant for a long time, there is nothing you could offer me that would make me go back. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, we got to fix it because people like you and me have to start like running for
I
shit.
know, but it's like, got to think about it. Look at what they did to the election workers. Utterly non-partisan, hard fucking working people whose only joy, not only joy, that's hyperbolic, but whose professional joy was just making sure people voted. They didn't care for who, and they have run them out of the system by targeting them and making their lives miserable. So we're up Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, we're up Schitt's Creek. And that concludes option 3, but it segues nicely into what we were going to talk about anyway, which is something that we know happened, which is the January 6th committee met again this week. And as Alyssa alluded to, it basically painted a picture of a fandom congregation of Donald Trump who are just rabid and completely devoted to ruining the lives of anybody who stands in the way of Donald Trump getting what he personally wants, which is very weird to me. It's like Mad Max, but worse costume design.
Bad, oversized, cheap suits.
Yeah, and none of them can drive. Have you ever been on a highway with one of the Punisher truck people and you're just like, ugh, this person.
Those trucks are scary.
They're scary because they're so big that they will get into accidents because those people can't drive. And they're big enough that they can hurt people.
And the actual Punisher logo is in fact terrifying.
But also like the Punisher hated cops. That's like the first
Good point.
I don't know anything about like comic books at all. Not because I it's just not my thing. But that's the one thing I know about the Punisher is that he did not like the police. Okay, so let's get back to the January 6th committee hearing. Alyssa, you mentioned the poll workers who were totally terrorized by misinformation, disinformation. I want to talk a little bit about Rusty Bowers, which I do not believe is a real name. It's a dog name.
I know, but it's seemingly a good man.
He's trying to be a good man, except he thinks God wrote the Constitution, which we are all skipping over the fact that is an objectively, that is wacky.
That is wacky, but
that is some Southwestern wackiness. And we really need, that is some like, God didn't write the Constitution. A bunch of like 18 to 25-year-old dudes who didn't want to pay taxes did, and then plus one horny old guy, Ben Franklin. I was impressed by him. He seemed like he was doing the best that he could within his moral framework. What did you think of Rusty Bowers?
I was into Rusty. It's like it's something to really think about, right? When you have the White House calling you. Like right now, I guess it's so hard to think about because Donald Trump has so diminished the office. But like these people were calling him and he stood up to them. And that is, in the same way that the elected officials in Georgia did. And that's not a small thing, because what we learned yesterday is that this wasn't some like ham-handed, drunk Rudy Giuliani play here. They were really coordinated. They had a real fucking plan. Like they had made all kinds of like real lies up that they were trying to feed these people. It seems it wasn't as I guess juvenile plan or strategy as we may have thought. There were a lot of players, and they were all working to get these people to overturn what was a free and fair election. And so Rusty, it's so interesting, and we were talking about this a little yesterday, but it's like, imagine if, we always say we never want to overly praise people for doing the bare minimum, but I think about if Rusty had been a Democrat, right? It would have been so easy for Trump to be like, conspiracy, see, they're not doing it. And in some ways, these two states that ended up being so critical to the outcome of the election, Georgia and Arizona, having Republicans in place, has actually kind of made this something for which Donald Trump may actually get in trouble for, because they're Republicans. They voted for Trump. I think that's the other thing with all this, is that these people fucking voted for him, and they're still like, dude, stop.
Well, and Rusty Bowers did say that he would vote for him again, which is like, okay.
Batshit.
You had me.
You're testifying before Congress right now because he tried to pressure you.
Oh my God! It reminds me of that meme that's like, they had us in the first half. Not gonna lie, that's how I feel about. I'm like, okay, Rusty, this.
But you know what? I think Rusty, though, may be saying this because look at the onslaught that these lunatic MAGA people have rained. Like, they have rained hellfire on these people that were just following the law. So I guess if I were him, I might say I'd vote for him too, just to sort of like make sure there were fewer nuts on my lawn come tomorrow.
I'm going to be paranoid here, or I'm going to put my dystopia hat on.
I love when you do that.
Here's a question that I've been asking myself a lot, because, you have people like Rusty Bowers, and you have, those poll workers in Georgia who were, victimized by MAGA people. And they talk about, Gabe Sterling and all these people saying they got all these death threats and people calling the cops. Here's my question. How many of those people were real? And I don't mean that these people are making things up. I think that there are forces on the right that use like Russian type tactics and possibly employ bot armies and like other things that in order to kind of like egg on the small number of people who are very frothy about them. So I do believe that there is the Amber Heard stuff also, and Gamergate stuff. Like a lot of the people I think that eventually we will find out that a lot of the people sending death threats and amplifying these messages were bots. And what that served to do was encourage the much smaller than we think number of people who were like on the edge of like being nuts to actually be nuts. It was like, does that make sense?
Yeah, like safety. It's kind of like a safety in numbers thing, right?
Right.
That, like they thought that they had. If you think there are hundreds and thousands of people on your side, you're gonna feel like a hero if you're the one who goes
to Comet Pizza or whatever.
Goes and shows up at shows up at Shay Moss's grandmother's house and tries to make a citizen's fucking arrest, you know? Like,
Right.
it is, there are enough people who do the in-person shit that you don't want to hedge.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
But-
and I'm not downplaying the fact that these
No,
people
no, I
were
know.
legitimately threatened. I think that the real people making the threats were probably egged on by some
Totally.
Russian-ass disinfo troll farm.
Yeah.
Extremely weird stuff. And here's another reason that I think that is the case. Like, there have been all of these right-wing events that were supposedly going to be, like, massively attended that just, like, you know, maybe had a lot of buzz in the right-wing media sphere that just ended up having, like, a small number of people there.
Do you mean like Trump's inauguration?
Yeah, exactly. I think if you checked Twitter and, like, extreme Trumpy Twitter, and again, this is just me, I'm just guessing, but based on how a lot of these, like, viral shitstorms resulting in death threats have gone, I believe that we'll probably eventually find out that there has been some amplification. And that, I think, is so awful and so damning of the types of tactics that the Trump team is willing to employ. They're willing to distort, like, internet reality in order to froth up dangerous people. And wow, that sucks. They're bad people.
I think you just summarized his entire presidency in one sentence.
Wow, that sucks. Yeah, I did attend college. That's true. What an up way to end the news. We were going to talk about the shooting in Uvalde, but we've run out of time. So hopefully next week we can talk more about all the ways that the cops completely failed.
Abdicated all responsibility to the children in that room.
It was as though the police are all like the dumbest and most cowardly people in town. They've been given guns and told that they're the only ones who can protect people, and then they just don't do their jobs.
The door wasn't even locked, Erin.
When I first heard that, I thought darkly about, you know, that Far Side comic, Midvale School for the Gifted, where it says pull and the kid is, like, pushing. I was like, wow, those are the cops, except they're supposed to be rescuing people.
Right.
And they cannot even open a goddamn door. We'll talk more about this in the future as we get more updates on it. Each one keeps getting worse.
Worse and worse.
And welcome back. We are going to talk about what we are feeling petty about this week. I'm really excited to talk about this with this group of wonderful panelists today. So let's get to the things we're feeling petty about. So there's a piece on The Cut. Great publication. This piece is not good. The piece is called Canceled at 17. The article is the sad story of a teenage boy who one day found out that his name was on a list of people to look out for that was posted in the girls' bathroom at school. And this teenage boy, Diego, was canceled as a result. Now, let's talk about why he appeared on the list. Diego appeared on the list because when he was at a party, he showed his girlfriend's nudes to people without her permission. So here's what I feel petty about this week. This seems pretty obvious, but, like, the article was written in a very sympathetic way to the boy, not to the girl who had her nudes shown at a party. Don't do that. That's what I feel petty about this week. Don't do that. The person you're supposed to feel, that is a good reason to be canceled. Like, if a bad reason to be canceled is, like, something that is not true, something that is, like a decade in the past and you've totally moved on and you've made amends. Like, this is a legitimate reason to be canceled for. You know what I got canceled for in 8th grade? I got canceled for wearing too much brown. Yeah, people get canceled for way stupider reasons in high school. Showing nudes to people at a party.
Can I weigh in here?
Yes, of course.
Okay, you guys. So according to any episode I've ever watched of Law & Order SVU, not just cancelable, criminal. It's fucking kiddie porn. This is crazy. How is this even a thing? How can you defend it? It's like, I was so confused by the article because I was like, this seems pretty clearly like a crime. This is
justified.
Yes.
Yeah, canceled by the law. Yeah, no, you just broke the law.
And can I also say, I thought it was a really interesting story, like in the abstract, about, like, the way social media has changed, teenage interactions, and the way that, like, power and information are sort of tied. But you didn't have to frame that story as a quote unquote cancellation, which is already like a loaded, weird term. You could just be like, this girl had this violation happen to her, and this is the interesting way that her school responded. And isn't it different than when we were kids or whatever? But like framing it the way that it was framed was just baffling to me.
Yeah. See, that's why I didn't want to like pile on the writer. I think that it might have also been an editor issue.
No. 20 months after he developed a crush. 18 months after he'd fallen in love. ... Diego, who is enormously appealing. I'm sorry, no.
What does
the
that
writer,
mean?
She deserves some of the fucking piling on.
I'm just trying to be generous. I'm trying to be like, okay, maybe I'm coming at this with a little bit of a bias, but that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. She's like, oh, poor him. He got canceled because he appeared on this list, and so his friends canceled him. And I'm like, you know what? His friends should have canceled him when he showed them the pictures. Like, it's not because he made the list. It's because he fucking went around violating his girlfriend's or his crush's autonomy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why he should be canceled.
Yes, that's a good reason. More people should be canceled for that. That should be something. Cancellation should be a deterrent of antisocial behavior. Yes. Cancel people. Anyway, that's what I feel petty about this week. Okay, Alyssa, what are you feeling petty about this week?
Okay, guys, I don't know if it's like partial petty, partial public service announcement. On Instagram stories, if you are posting a story, I need you to pay attention to your font size, okay? Because I can't enlarge it like I can do on Main. And so it's like, if you're reposting something from someone else, just take a minute. Use your thumbs, make it a little bit bigger. If you're typing something, think to yourself, can anyone but me read this with my perfect 20/20 vision? Because not even my bifocals can help me with half of your stories anymore. So that's what I want to say. Please make your shit bigger on IG stories because it is literally illegible.
There is very petty. Think of the bifocals, I guess.
You look at these. They're so big and I still can't see half of what's on there.
They should do like a magnifying like iPhone cover so that you can
something. God, this has not been a good episode for me. I'm like, I might as well get my cane out. Be like, things are going downhill fast, you guys.
When I do get to cane age, I'm going to think of it as another accessory.
It's going to be the baddest cane that ever was.
I want like
My cane's going to look like this.
Yes,
Ooh.
exactly.
Dana, what are you feeling petty about this week?
I know that in theory, people have been wearing masks for hopefully two plus years at this point. But people have also forgotten how to cover when they sneeze and cough for some reason. And so I feel petty that whether you're wearing a mask or not, the polite thing to do when you sneeze or cough is turn away from who you're with and lift your elbow. I don't know if they haven't taught everyone this in school. They taught us this in elementary school. It is basic politeness. And when you're not wearing a mask, it's very important. I have seen people pull down their masks to sneeze and cough.
Oh, nightmare. Nightmare. Yeah, geez. I mean, I think we've all learned that it's the inside of the elbow now.
Yeah,
that's inside of the elbow. It's a perfectly nose and mouth shaped. It fits really well.
By design. It's one of the good design features in the human body.
Yeah.
There's so many bad ones, and this is one of the good ones.
I think cancel culture should exist for people who pull their mask down to sneeze. That is, those people should be canceled.
Okay, that's a good thing to feel petty about. Julissa, bring us home. What do you feel petty about?
I love y'all. I really do. But please stop asking me to do shit for free.
Oh. God, I thought you were talking to me specifically. I was like, what did I do?
No.
I was talking to the audience. I mean, and probably not Hysteria listeners, but this is what I'm feeling petty about. It's like, I already do a lot of free things. I visit a lot of classrooms for free. It's like teachers always reach out and they're like, can you please come to my classroom? I'm like, yes, I will Zoom and answer your kids' questions, which I love doing. But if you are part of a company and this is your DEI budget, like, do not ask me to do things for free. Like, I make a living writing and speaking. Like, how do you think I pay for my mortgage and my blinky water bottle? I need money. I am not generationally wealthy, and my labor is valuable. And no, I cannot do your corporate thing for free. So stop asking me. No more free things.
I feel that.
Why? Why do people think that it like you get paid?
Yeah. I agree with you about the like teacher thing. Like if somebody asked me to
Yeah.
come to a classroom, for the most part, it's like, yes, they're buying their own markers. I'm not going to ask for a
Exactly.
teacher to pay me for something. But I think that, yes, the expectation that writers and speakers do things for free is a little annoying. I was on the Church of Satan website the other day.
I knew you'd bring it up at some point.
Long story, because I want to start a Satan high school in Maine, because the Supreme Court just said that Maine's law that excludes religious schools from being able to receive scholarships for students is unconstitutional. So I want to start a satanic high school in Maine. But first, there's several steps between me and Satan High School. I need to become a Satanist first, and I wanted to like figure out what that was about, because I was like, is this going to be weird? Anyway, Alyssa's got it pulled up. One of the
Pulled up, I had it bookmarked.
one of the the Church of Satan website, which by the way, different from Satanic Temple, which is the one that I was actually interested in, but whatever. Church of Satan website, very funny if you like cantankerous tones, and like kind of, they refer to homes as lairs. And there's this one thing that's like, please don't ask us to, we charge a membership fee because we're not altruists. We're Satanists. We want money. We need money to do things. And I was like, I feel that. Satanists. I totally get it. Anyway.
I've been so tempted to change my IG bio. I do not do free things. Like, I feel like that
You
should
should.
be
It's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
with like a little parentheses that says, unless you are a teacher and you're buying your own supplies. Because also, if you're a teacher at
Right.
like a private school like that has a ton of money, then like
Right.
pay me. Like, I can only do what I do because I get paid.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have to go back to work on Wall Street. So if that's the future y'all want for me,
No.
then
No.
keep
No,
asking
no.
me to do shit for free.
Keep
So-
Jaleesa off the Wall Street. We don't.
Jaleesa, I got a good tip from somebody once, which I've not implemented, but they said to create your own assistant account, and then it makes it so much easier for you to say no because it's your assistant saying no. I realize I just said that on a podcast.
I
but-
have an actual real assistant. Her
Oh
name is
shit,
Andrea.
girl, you fancy.
and she does say no for me a lot, but then I feel bad because she's like, they keep asking and I've already said no, and I'm like,
Well, that's a
keep
personal
saying no.
problem.
I was like, stop responding, just don't respond.
Okay, so you heard it here. Hopefully last, because she shouldn't have to repeat herself. Do not ask Jaleesa to do things for free unless you are somebody who is working in public schools and really could use a free gig from Jaleesa. But that's the only thing you should ask her to do for free. Okay,
Yes.
Dana and Jaleesa, thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank
Alyssa,
you.
thank you for being my ride or die. Listeners, thank you for listening. You can write us a review if you like what you're hearing. Tell your friends if you like what you're hearing. And submit us your solicited advice. We love answering your solicited advice, and there will be more hysteria for you next week.